Hello, Lee Mallett for Sanctuary. I also own Mallett Buildings. Today, I'm going to have a guest arrive here shortly. And she's one of the counselors that work at Sanctuary. Before they get here, I want to talk a little bit about Sanctuary, Louisiana can take anybody from any parish in the state. Anywhere. You know, if you're watching this in Shreveport, Baton Rouge, I don't care where it is, Sanctuary, Louisiana, we'll get somebody to go pick you up or get Medicaid to pick you up to get you some treatment. Once you get your treatment, we're going to jump into, once you come to the facility, then we're going to get you in 3.5 treatment, then 3.1, then IOP. And today, the person that comes handles our IOP, intensive outpatient treatment. And she's going to introduce herself, tell her history, her story. But anyway, intensive outpatient treatment at our facilities or in our sober living houses allows them to continue to get outpatient treatment, keep a job, save money, and hopefully stay there, you know, anywhere from 6 to 12 months and build the tools or take the tools we've taught them, and they're able to say no to drugs or alcohol, whatever their addiction is. Most people that come through the facility, if they stay the whole period of time, which is approximately 18 months if you do what I would prefer, because if somebody's been a drug addict for 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, it's hard to change it in 90 days or 30 days. But boy, when you stay on target for about 18 months, the percentage of success jumps to about 90%. It's amazing. Because then they learn how to break the habit, because it's a habit. It takes a while to break a bad habit like that. You're going to have a relapse of probably 10, 15%. You're never going to change that, but we take them back. But at Sanctuary, Louisiana, we have a good organization. We have a great facility, DHH approved on that side. We're also DOC approved because we have a judicial referral center with 49 beds where we can take people in from the judicial system, then run them through treatment, and then they move to sober living, and they also work. All the money that they work goes into a bonded account, and then they can take and send money home. They can use money for commissary, but in the end, some guys leave with $5,000, some guys leave with $15,000. It just depends on their skill set and what they can do in order how much money they make and how long they stay. But ultimately, it's a continuum of care that basically we do at Sanctuary. We're the only program I know in the state, or probably in the country, that does all parts of it or all pieces of it. And so my guests will be coming in here shortly. I think they're about to arrive. And we'll get them in here. I think we're going to take a short break. So let's take a short break. When I come back, I'll have somebody we're going to introduce you to, and she'll tell you her story as a counselor. Lee Mallett back with Sanctuary, Louisiana. I was telling you I was going to bring a guest on. Her name was Ebony Wildridge. And I'm going to let her tell everybody a little bit about herself. She just came on at the Sanctuary for the last 3 months.
Yes.
And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about her credentials, about her passion, whatever. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
I'm Ebony Wildridge. I graduated from Northwestern State University in 2010 with my bachelor's degree, and then I went to Stephen F. Austin to get my master's degree. Both of my degrees are in social work, and I am a licensed master social worker. I've been with Sanctuary for about 3 months, and I am running part of the IOP program, which is intensive outpatient program, where we do group therapy with the guys, and they get to talk about mental health issues as well as substance abuse issues.
So can you expand a little bit on the IOP? So how big a class do you typically have? What y'all's hours?
So our hours are 6 to 9, the night program. So a lot of the guys are coming off of work and they get a chance to participate in IOP, which is about at least 3 nights out of the week. And what was the second question?
No, just to expound on
Okay.
how big is your classes typically?
Okay, so we up to 12 clients per social worker. 12 clients per social worker.
Good. So is there something since you got there that's impressed you about Sanctuary? Is there something you like that you've seen that makes you feel like you're in the right place?
I like that they get a chance to talk about real life issues versus only substance abuse. So we get to talk about the mental health side of things. So a lot of times whenever you've experienced trauma, that's where the substance abuse can come in and cause more issues and become harder to let the substances go because you're covering up pain.
So you've been there 3 months. You're familiar with the 3.5, 3.1, and then they end up with you at IOP.
Yes, I'm the last step before
Okay. And so the program at Sanctuary is about taking them from a 3.5, which is a 30-day program, and then they move to the 90-day program, which is 3.1, which they're able to go to work and
Correct.
get a job, but they continue treatment. They're still housed at the facility, right?
Correct.
And then they get to you, and so they're still working. Now, a lot of them that go to you, they're in sober living too?
Some are in sober living and
Right.
some are in halfway. So we get a bit of both.
Right. So the continuum of care that we do at Sanctuary, do you think that's in your opinion, and you've only been there a little while, but you're a social worker, do you believe or do you think that the way we do it, which is take them from intensive 3.5 all the way to sober living, compared to what other facilities are doing? Because you know what other facilities typically do.
Yeah, I think it's important for the IOP aspect because sometimes 28 days is not enough. Like you get 28 days and then you go back to your normal everyday living, but whenever you go from 3.5 to 3.1 to 2 point something, you get a chance to actually work the steps and you get a chance to get a better feel for how it is to live sober and work, live sober and have a family, live sober and be a productive citizen.
So if we compare what we do to what others do, they concentrate mainly on 3.5,
Right.
which is 30 days.
Right,
And then they let them go.
right.
Right. And if I'm hearing you correctly, you think that the way we do it, 3.5, 3.1, sober living,
It reduces the risk of relapse.
because you believe that someone who's been having an addiction problem, let's say 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's going to take a while to fix that. You're not going to
Yes.
fix that in this short window that everybody else is doing. Do you think that's the right way to do it?
Different strokes for different folks, but I do feel like
But what's
the
in
longer,
the best interest
the
of the
longer-
client? That's the question is, as a counselor and credentialed as you are, is it in the best interest of the client to keep him in a structured environment when he's had an addiction for 2 to 5 years?
yeah,
I have found that the longer, 18 months, is really a good term for someone who's been addicted for for 2 years, 5 years,
Right.
versus 30 days like that's what other facilities are doing.
Right.
They're just taking them in, they bring them out, and they all end up the relapse percentages are probably way up there, probably 60, 70%
Right.
that occurs there.
Right. I think longer is better because you, like I said, you get a chance to work your steps
Right,
to
that's
recovery.
right. So you're from Lake Charles?
I'm from Jennings.
You live in Jennings now?
Yes.
Well, good. Well, it's good to have you on board. I appreciate you coming in today. Today, we just wanted her to kind of tell a little bit about herself. What got you into this? That's the last I wanted to ask you.
So I got into the social work field. I've always had a heart to help others, and then into sober living, relapse, substance use. I got into this field just to kind of build upon my skills as a social worker and to have a broader array of helping.
So right now you're an
SW.
LMSW, and so are you moving? Are you going to be moving forward with a different credential? Are you working on another credential?
I'm working on my LCSW.
And so how does that process work? How long did it take you to get an LMSW?
So you got to go to graduate school, take an exam. Once you take your exam, you can be under a clinical social worker for 2 years
Right.
to become a licensed clinical social worker.
And so you're working towards being an
Licensed clinical social worker,
L-
LCSW.
LCSW. And where are you in the process of attaining that credential?
I have to take my exam.
That's all you're waiting to do now?
Yes,
When do you
sir.
anticipate you might do that?
I'm not sure yet because I don't want to psych myself out. So I'm still studying for the exam.
But at some point, you're going to be that.
Yes. Yes.
Well, look, I appreciate you coming in. Next time, we'll get into some more critiquing about actual counseling.
Yes.
I just wanted everybody to meet you today and hear about what your passion was, how long you've been there, where you're from, and your credentials. You did a great job. So
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
So, folks, let's give her a hand if you're there. She did a great job. Good seeing you. Thank you for coming. So hold on one second. If you go sit over there, I'm going to bring in. Now I'm going to bring in the COO of Sanctuary, Louisiana. Oh, let's take a commercial break, then I'll bring somebody else on. Hello, we're back at Sanctuary, Louisiana. We just had a nice interview with Miss Ebony Wilward, who's a counselor at Sanctuary. Now we got Chris, who's the COO. You want to introduce yourself, Chris?
Chris McMorris, originally from New Orleans, here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Been here for 30 years, and thank you for having me.
Well, not a problem. Always good to have people from Sanctuary. Tell everybody a little bit about your credentials in running that facility.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate it. I'm a business major out of McNeese State University with a second in communication. I also have a degree in hospital administration. I've been involved in healthcare for over 35 years. I've opened acute care hospitals, 14 hospitals in 7 different states. Done acquisitions, divestments, worked all the continuums of care, and have also worked in the nonprofit arena for over 8 years, specifically with United Way in the Lake Charles area. Family and Youth Counseling Agency, helped them bring in the CAC Center, which is a Children's Advocacy Center. I work with families helping families, family and care help with sulfur. Was honored to be asked to come in and work through the programs at Sanctuary, Louisiana. We are hitting this head on with the community problems, and this seems to be one of the largest problems that a community can face. It's not just in Southwest Louisiana, but nationwide. And the model, the program that we've started in at Sanctuary, Louisiana, I believe is one of the best models that we can do to do our best at fighting a holding battle at best. But we're working with the individuals that through no fault of their own. This is a disease that we're dealing with, and it's a disease that has no boundaries. It has no cultural boundaries, it has no financial boundaries, it has no ethnicity boundaries. This is one that affects everyone at any point in time. And it's easy to turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to these situations, but Sanctuary Louisiana has chosen to draw a line in the sand.
Let's while we're talking, let's just drill down a little bit about what we do compared to other facilities.
The model for Sanctuary Louisiana in residential treatment 3.5 is typically the 28-day. One of the things that I'll say is all of the ATRs, which are access to rehabilitation therapy, all of those are nonprofit or faith-based, but their core values are based in the 12-step program, which is a faith-based program. The issues with faith-based programs is that they generally go with one particular faith. This is ecumenical. We go across the board. It doesn't matter who you believe or what higher power you believe in. It can be Vishnu, it can be Krishna, it can be Buddha, it can be Jesus Christ. The belief is that there is a higher power and that you have to know that there's someone that's over you. So we take that and we bring that into focus with individuals in its basic form. So with that said, there is a faith component to what we do. Even though your ATRs may focus on one particular faith, we go ecumenical, which is across the board. And then when they step down into the 3.1, one of the areas in 3.1 is this is where sobriety truly starts. Sobriety is found in the 3.1, which is halfway. That's where individuals begin to realize this is what sober living feels like. So they experience a gamut of emotions. They go through sadness, happiness, confusion, all of those different things. And one of the things about our program in 3.1 is all of our counselors are certified in MRT, which is one of the highest nationally ranked counseling therapies that you can have, along with CBT therapy. Those two therapies are truly the ones that help them through that time and show them how to cope, what the triggers are, what the cravings are, how to deal with that. And with the extra component to it, which is the workforce program, a lot of people get this program confused. The workforce program is truly not designed for an individual to say, okay, I'm going to go to work now, I can buy a house on the big hill. Many people leave with a good amount of money in their account, but it's not designed for that. What it's designed for is for that individual to put all of those therapies into play while they still have the support of our counseling staff. They can go out, they'll learn what it's like to reconcile themselves to the community, they can pay their child support, they can pay their court fees, they can feel the stress of a normal life, but yet still have the support of all of the therapists to keep them on track with what their therapies are about. And that's the part that is truly where the sobriety starts and where people begin to realize it's not so bad to live a sober life. I don't have to have the dependency of the opioids, of the meth, of the alcohol, or anything that has brought their life through the gates of Sanctuary Louisiana. The IOP program, which you've just met, our young lady who handles the IOP program, continues to confirm those life skills and provide that support for that individual to continue through this journey in life and know that if they do feel weak, if they do feel they need to have support to it, we always tell them the IOP program is where if you get tired of fighting, let us fight for you, because that's what IOP begins to do for individuals in there. When they feel tired, when they feel they can't go on, they have an individual in an intensive outpatient program to support them the rest of the way.
How long you been there?
I've been with Sanctuary for about 1 year and 3 months.
Based on that experience and all the other experiences you have, and after you just explained what Sanctuary does, let's talk about what the others do that they're sending people to as far as treatment, holistic life, the whole 9 yards. What's going on out there? Why are we Sanctuary's got all these gamuts we're putting together, from 3531, outpatient, sober living, whatever. Let's talk about, I don't want to call them competition, but other facilities
Right.
that are operating within the state where judges are sending people who don't offer near the services. Give me your take on that, and then I'll have a question after that.
Well, the first thing I'd say is that the design and the model for Sanctuary had tremendous insight and tremendous thought. Our founder and CEO gave tremendous thought to how this would dovetail into individuals that find themselves crossing the legal path. So what he did was design, and our CEO and founder is sitting across from me, designed a program to help those individuals that found themselves at that brink in the legal system, to bring them out of that. The ATRs, the access to rehabilitation programs that are out there now, they're either 501c3 or they're faith-based. And where they fall short is that they don't take that middle piece, which is the most important piece of the rehabilitation sector, which is the 3.1. They exclude that piece. They'll jump from the intensive inpatient to the IOP, and it does not give that middle piece of that pie that offers the support to individuals that have to continue. So it really leaves that individual short. Also, the credentialing for your ATRs is a lot less because we're under two governance. We have Department of Corrections that we have to operate under, and we also have Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, LDHH. Those two governance forces us to a higher expectation than your ATRs. As evident, we had an IOP individual here with a higher licensing council, licensure for counseling, our LACs, our LCP, our LPCs. All of those individuals are held to a higher accord, whereas you only see the lower end, and I'm not taking anything away from CITs and CACs. They have their place, they have their value, but we bring more emphasis with the credentialing of our counselors to the table because it has a deeper seed. They can go deeper into the issues, much like you alluded to on the mental health side as well as the substance use side. So when we're held to a higher governance and a higher accord, we're forced to be evidence-based. We're forced to be outcome-driven. We're forced to find the areas by which people can succeed and not find the excuses, well, your faith wasn't strong enough and you didn't get into it deep enough. We provide those safety nets that individuals need to continue their journey toward sobriety.
So, we're DHH approved, we're DOC approved, we're CARF accredited.
CARF accredited.
We've been in business almost 17 years. The question is, if there's no other facility offering these services, why would a judge send someone to a different facility that doesn't offer those services?
It's an opinion, and I think it's lack of understanding the differences in the degree of help that they get. It's like buying a cheaper vehicle expecting to have the same luxury ride as a more expensive vehicle. The education piece and understanding the depth of what the mental health and substance use issues are is easily misunderstood. And I think that our judicial system is now catching up to that. We're beginning to educate more on what the benefits are to have a licensed counselor, what the benefits are to have the longer term therapies that are necessary, to have the nationally recognized, scientifically proved therapies in place, as opposed to the other therapies that are out there being offered that are not stringently regulated, such as our MRT program, which is nationally recognized, CBT program, which is nationally recognized, and the other credentials that we offer at our program.
So the people that we're receiving, we don't receive just from the judicial system. We also take people from off the street, what we call I guess, free people, whatever you want to call it. They're not from the judicial,
Voluntary
they're volunteers, they're not from the judicial system. So we take both clients into the place. The clients come to our place, and we'll talk about us versus them, okay? It's sanctuary, they leave from sanctuary, they come into Genesis Life, which is the Judicial Referral Center. If they qualify, they go to sanctuary, they go through the 3-5, 3-1, and continue IOP, then they can go to the sober living. There's a lot of sober living houses available. The sober living houses, according to what you know or your experience that are out there, do they do what we do as far as they've gone through the treatment side? What are they doing different? I mean, how are they operating? We're operating from the standpoint, we still are monitoring them. We still are drug testing them. We still are continuing treatment. From a sober living standpoint, how would you describe us versus?
So, sober living, one of the main advantages that we offer is that we do find the positions, we find the jobs, we bring those individuals into a work setting. Not only do we find a job, but we literally transport them there and back and provide the support through our vendors. We stay in close communication with all of our vendors and talk about their needs, see how that individual is doing. And those individuals still get drug tested, they still get their medications, they still have access to the counselors.
How many vendors do we have?
We have over 35 vendors at the moment. We have 50.
And I'm one of them.
Absolutely.
Okay. And everybody seems to think they all work for me. Do they?
No, they do not.
They do not.
Less than 20% of our individuals
Correct.
come to work for
That
you.
is, I just want to make that clear because there is some misconception that they all work for me. They don't all work for me.
No, they don't. No.
Okay, but if you look at what we do on the standpoint of, okay, drug and alcohol treatment, 3-5, 3-1, IOP. I believe that what we're also doing when we put them in sober living, find them a job, transport them to a job, continue this, I believe we're the only facility offering true skill set learning, okay, life skills.
Life skill.
True life skill learning occurs with us. I don't know any other facility that can say, and just in the last 2 weeks, we've seen at least 4 candidates come through the facility. I think one left the bank, or left here with over 13,000. Another had 5. Another had, I think, another 7, and the one had 1,000. I mean, the story goes on and on. Now, that's, I had a person ask a question: how much money did we get out of that 13 or that 7 or 5? I said absolutely
Nothing.
0. Now, as you understand it, when they're at Genesis working in 3-5 or 3-1, because you can't work in 3-5.
Correct.
Okay, when you get to 3-1, are they allowed to send money home
Absolutely.
from the money they earn?
That is correct.
That's correct. So they're not a burden on the family.
Negative.
That's right. And so then they move to sober living. Once again, that money is given, they're given their money when they get out, unless they're judicial. They're able to get money weekly to buy food, whatever, and send money home.
Correct.
Okay. Do we believe that's an intricate part of fixing the problem?
Oh, absolutely. When you reconcile yourself not only to the family, but the other component to that is when we do get individuals through the judicial system, many times there's fees that are involved in that, there's penalties, and they have to reconcile themselves to whatever brought them through that legal system. They're able to do that. That burden doesn't carry on beyond their therapies. It actually becomes a part of their therapies because they see achieving goals. They have short-term goals to go. They learn fiscal and financial management. They learn how to be able to be responsible for reconciling themselves to the problems that they found themselves in. Poor decisions, we all make poor decisions, but we have to reconcile those decisions. There is no forgiveness without penance.
So if we stay on the same vein right now, the people that come to our facility, they're able to, well, first of all, whenever they're at 3-5, Medicaid pays for their treatment.
That is correct.
It said no cost or no burden on the family.
That is correct.
3.1, Medicaid pays.
That is correct.
Their IOP treatment, Medicaid pays.
That is correct.
Okay. Once they're out of treatment and they're in sober living, who pays?
They do.
They do. Why is that a good thing?
Because when you learn how to sustain yourself, when you find yourself being self-supported and having those goals met, you feel that achievement. You feel bigger. You feel better about not only what you've accomplished, but where you're heading in life. Every man has a dream. At some point, it goes off the line, but then they begin to realize that dream again. And they can move forward with that. They want to reconcile with their children. They want to reconcile with their mom, their dad, their grandparents, whomever it is that felt disappointment in their life. They're able to reconcile that emotion and that feeling.
Okay, and so the people that are judicially referred, who dictates how much they have to pay for room and board, food, transportation, back and forth to court, all these services? Who dictates how much they're charged for those services?
The state,
DOC.
DOC, Department of Corrections,
That's correct.
makes that
Right.
limit.
So if we compare this to living in the free world, if they got out and would they not have to pay rent?
Oh, they definitely have to pay rent.
Would they have to pay transportation to go to and from work?
For certain they would.
Would they have to pay to go to Burger King and get to eat?
Without a doubt.
So why is it bad to teach them how to do this while they're paying their price to society?
It isn't, but what I will say to that is that even though we have a top or a limit that Department of Corrections sets for us, we don't charge that limit. We charge beneath that because we are interested in the success of them moving forward. Moving an individual through a program with them able to pay their way in life. Pay your way in life. I mean, I think we all grew up with
Well,
a parent that says that.
let's look at it like this. There's 44,000 people incarcerated in this state. Of the 44,000 that's incarcerated in this state, it is estimated 60% are nonviolent offenders and mostly drug offenses. That's why they got in trouble. Are we better served to send them to facilities like this, where they learn how to pay their own way? Or do we continue what we've done for hundreds of years and punish them, which they still lose their freedom over here?
That's correct.
Right.
They're not free to
All right,
run
so
and
they're
gun.
still losing their freedom. They're
That's
paying they're paying their due to society. But when they come out, instead of coming out of a prison or out of a jail where they've sat down and done absolutely nothing except cost the taxpayer money, here they come out and they have learned how to work. They've learned how to pay rent. They've learned how to pay for their food. They've learned how to be productive in society. And I believe, what do you believe the odds of them being more successful with that versus just, well, here's your clothes, hit the street?
Incarceration alone is never really going to resolve our issues. There's about 10% of the population that I will say will probably not be able to change. But the majority of the individuals that are incarcerated have the ability to change through therapy, through help, through work, and through an understanding that they can be productive again. There is absolutely nothing wrong with giving an individual an opportunity to reconcile himself to himself.
There was a comment made about drug addicts and mental health people. Based on the statement that was made, do we have a hygiene problem over there with these people?
Hygiene?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware.
Do they fight taking showers? Do they fight wearing clean clothes? Do they fight any of that?
Well, first off, we have a zero tolerance for fighting. That's number one. And no, there's no fighting.
Well,
about
because that comment was made about those two groups of people, who I believe those two groups of people are still people.
Correct.
That one set has a serious issue and that they've got a serious addiction.
Correct.
The other set has mental issues through no fault of their own, more than likely.
That is correct.
And we as a society should treat them with respect. And we at Sanctuary, we do that. But I think it's the comment, because I've been involved with the facility for many, many years, never made sense to me when I read it. Like, where did you get that they're just normal people? You know, look, I'll sit here and tell you my son was an addict. I've been dealing with that since he was about 13 or 14 years old. Surely everybody listening knows someone who's been touched by this, family, friend, just know somebody. It is a terrible disease. And the reason I bring these people to talk about it is to show you there is a place to help them. It's there. It exists. So if you have a loved one that's having trouble with an addiction, we're available. You've had an opportunity to meet one of the counselors. We had another counselor on last week. We're going to continue bringing the counselors on. We'll delve into more and more about counseling, more and more about addiction. You've got to meet the CEO who runs the operations. And I can tell you, anybody who would like to call and come visit our facility, you're welcome.
Please.
Please do. We encourage it, and we'd love to have you. We'd love to come see. But the main thing is this. If you have somebody in trouble, there's a place. Don't believe there's not. There is. It's called Sanctuary, Louisiana. Well, look, thank you for coming, my man.
Thank you for
Good
having
seeing
me.
you. Good
I
seeing
appreciate you.
Once again, folks, thank you all for listening. We'll continue next week with another series, and we're going to continue to enlighten you on what we do at Sanctuary. And once again, give us a call at 337-936-9197, and we'll be glad to work with you and help you. Once again, thank you all for listening.